Alright, what you're about to see is the story of two friends, Shailja and Sonam, who came together to start their own design studio across borders. With pretty much zero experience and now working with an array of global brands, you're about to see the story of Outline Studios. If you're serious about design, let this be the unfiltered guide to start your own design studio. Now, this is going to be a long one, so here's what I recommend. Watch the first 30 minutes with active listening. Outline Studios will literally walk you through how they got into branding, how they got their first client, how they raised their prices, and everything in between. And then for the next 30 minutes, just let it play in the background. This is the Q&A section where you can really get to know the people behind the studio. All right, I hope you have fun. This is Design WIP by Young Designers India.
Every time we think about where we started from and how far we've come, it really surprises us as to, how 5 years ago, when we were making wedding invites for our friends and family for like 5,000-6,000 rupees, if someone would have told us that in the next 5 years, you guys are going to be working with, say, the biggest corporate house in the country or helping them shape the country's image in the global stage, or even talking about us taking up international projects, we wouldn't have believed it. But it happened, and we're so glad that it did. So we are going to take you guys through the process that we went through. Also tell you about all of the mistakes that we've made so that you guys can judge us, and also tell you about some fun stuff that we did.
Yay! All right. So we've created sort of like a roadmap to follow because that's what outliners do, strategizing a talk. So where it all began. 2008, we met at school. We were school friends. This is us. we were very similar, but there was a one very big difference between us. One was Shailja was studying more, painting less. I was painting more, studying less. Art brought us together. We became really good friends. And we would participate in a lot of competitions, those kiddo competitions, art competitions, painting, this, that. And funny thing is, we would also, Shailja, do you remember about those magazine discussions that we used to have where we would create a hypothetical world where the kind of things we would like to own when we grow up, like those classic female friendships.
Yeah.
So that was us in school. After school, we went to completely different directions. Shailja did her law in Bombay, aced it. She started working at a very good, well-reputed law firm. But she always knew that she wanted something different from life. On the other hand, I wanted to study fashion. And by the third year, I think I realized that I do not want to do anything with apparel. I would probably be better at product. And to have like a smoother transition, I did my master's in jewelry and landed a experimental design job in Paris. And I was quite lucky at that point to get a job where I'm not just serving coffee, because those early jobs, internships are like that generally. Whereas I got lucky with this one because I actually got to work alongside a textile engineer. Until I wasn't lucky, like all of us, COVID hit. I lost my job. I was fighting border restrictions. I had to leave Paris overnight. I was stuck in Germany for about 3.5, 4 months without knowing when can I go back home, when can I start my job, what am I doing, why am I doing this? All of these questions were there. I was trying to satisfy myself with some mini design jobs. And around that time, because we were living outside, mostly on our phones, this is some of the old random work that I would do, and I would discuss it with Shailja, and she would streamline my ideas.
Yeah, at that time, Sonam had absolute clarity on what she wanted to do. She comes from a family of artists. So she knew exactly, since the time I knew her, I knew she had absolute clarity that she stopped studying early on, and she knew she was going to do something in art, something in design. But for me, when I was doing law, I knew that I wanted to make a shift, but I did not know what exactly I wanted to do because back then I did not have graphic design and brand design and these kind of things as like a part of my vocabulary. All I knew is that people who do artsy stuff probably just sell paintings, and that too they sell after they die. So I continued what I was doing until again COVID happened. And that again, I was between fighting COVID situations, having to leave Bombay, being locked up in a room in Raipur, which is my hometown, working for 17, 18 hours a day. Not 17, but at least 14, 15 hours for sure. And with that time, I had no friends, nowhere to go. That gave me a lot of time to think about things beyond law. And it gave me time to think about the transition that I wanted to make. So I started creating some artsy stuff for my friends. And for 6 months, I did that simultaneously with law. And I almost survived 2020 because of art. And during this time, since I was not in touch with art for a very long time, I was constantly in touch with Sonam to pick her brain on whether I'm doing it right or not. And yeah, that was in a way us art getting us together again.
Yeah. And during this time, like soon after having these mini project discussion moments, we realized how good a team we make and how beautiful is this combination of a strategic brain and an uncompromising designer brain, and how this sounded solid. And we needed to do something about it. So we took all of the things that we had, all of our artwork, all of our friendship, passion, everything, and decided to start a design studio on Instagram.
Yeah.
And at this point, we did not know a lot about, we had no clarity about how clients are going to appear out of this thin air, and basically no direction at all, and just all passion, and got into it without any roadmap, nothing else. The very opposite outline, by the way. So that was that. And then, yeah, in the initial days, you would generally get projects from your friends and family, and also sometimes judge those projects, but we would say that that is what got the ball rolling for us, and
Yeah.
it helped us a lot. We started with illustrations, logos, invitations, again, identity design for about 5,000, 10,000 bucks. And
Yeah.
but yeah, that let us survive those initial days.
And it's something that I would tell everyone who are especially young designers, or even if you're not into design, that whatever you are currently doing or whoever you're interacting with, just do it with your best intentions, because don't think short term. You will never know how your karma is going to come back. And I say this out of experience because the law firm that I was like working with, which I left to start this studio, actually became our first corporate client. And they trusted me as a person at that time. And this is the same that is going to happen with you. Back then, we do not have a credible portfolio to tell them, to show them, in order to onboard them. And having your peers invest in you is something that is a blessing in disguise. And in that situation, I would say that you leverage the trust and rapport that you have with them, and build good credibility in the work that you're delivering, and do the best that you can as much as possible in those mini projects also.
Yeah.
I think overall in this whole time of us taking the leap, it looks like we did a lot of other things, different things before we chose brand designing, but and it's fine, it's good, and it's okay for skills and passions to shift. And if you can afford to make the shift, do make that shift. It's never too late. But I'd also say that don't do it in a haste, like don't make a hasty decision before you make the shift. Try to get a fair idea about the field, talk to people, understand the potential of the field, try to see if you imagine yourself doing that. And even I did that. I worked on graphic design and law simultaneously for 6 months before I quit it, to understand that, okay, I like it, but am I even good at it? There must be other things, other side to the field that I'm not aware of right now. So dipping your feet a little to know whether this is something that you would want to really take up, if not in the, like, at least in your near future, if not forever. So when you get that confidence, make that gradual shift. I
Yeah.
also created like an emergency fund for myself. And this is something that what I did is that I put 6 months of my salary. I saved up 6 months of my salary. Of course, I started it long back, and put it so that in a separate account, so that I don't have to worry about earning for the next 6 months when I'm transitioning from law to design, and I can more freely explore this field. So if you can do something like this, I would suggest that you do it if you are in a transition phase. Yeah, I think now
Yeah.
about landing
Yeah.
our first serious
Planning
client.
our first serious client. So at this point, I think a lot of you must be thinking ki, Are, but all of our friends and family don't have that crazy, contemporary, very good looking, or those kind of projects that we really, creative people really like to do. But I think to get the ball rolling, as I said, we should do those and separately make our own passion projects where you fuel your own creative urges and make sort of navigate people to what you really want to do, where you can take brands and the kind of people you want to work with. So just create some self passion projects. And during this time, we were doing that a lot. We were creating a lot of passion projects. And we also, I think we joined a few design communities around that time. And one of the
Yeah.
community actually got us our first branding client, which was this one. And I think we onboarded it for,
Mhm.
excuse me, for about $8,000 at that point, because
Wow.
that was.
Yeah, 8,000 rupees for identity design was what we charged
Yeah.
them.
And I know it's funny to hear that price, but that was what was going on around us when we saw that people are just, having these 2 hour long meetings with brands and are trying to understand the whole strategy bit, and then delivering the logo in 3 to 4 days. It felt very surface level to Shailja. Her lawyer strategic brain just could not accept that. How could one make a logo without thinking about the future of the brand properly and getting into it? That's what got us digging into the strategy part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that time when we were introduced to this whole new world of strategy, that there was so much to learn. We knew nothing about it, and it was really scary and also really exciting at that time. So we thought, okay, we are going to get into this now. We pulled up our socks, spent days and nights learning about it, watched a million videos, read books on branding, and put together a structure that we would use to build the first brand that we were working on. And while we were super nervous on how this is going to go, and we were hoping that it goes well, but when we received the feedback, we realized that there was a lot more that we provided in terms of the value than designing just a pretty logo at that price. So
Hmm.
that gave us confidence, and we decided that we're going to refine our strategy further and really double down on that. Took more courses and tried to figure out what is going on in this world globally, and decided that we're going to increase our prices. We increased our price from 8,000 to 80,000 in the next project, and this was a huge jump. It was a milestone moment for us at that time. But this difference between 8,000 to 80,000 for identity design is purely the value that we were providing. And what I mean by that is that when you know, when you are onboarding a project, think about how your work is going to add to a company. You need to think about how you are going to help the company improve their numbers. Understand, think whether this deliverable is going to improve the positioning of them in the market, and will it improve the margins or sales or revenue. If yes, then they will be happy to share a part of the profit with you. If you go and tell them that I'm going to design a nice packaging for you for 10,000 rupees, they'll bargain with you. But if you tell them that what is consumer behavior, how design impacts decision making, and how it is going to affect your sales and improve your revenue, then 10,000 looks like nothing. So you need to also talk about value when you're talking to the client, and not just talk about the service that you're providing. And I say this not in the sense that sell yourself like that, but also you need to do the things that is needed to be able to provide that value. You need to do the boring things. You have to do your research. You have to really understand the business side of the company end to end and understand numbers. Do your research on consumer behavior, how to make decisions, how to help them make better decisions, make better business. And when you do that, when you put yourself in a position where you're standing with the owner of the company, other decision makers of the company, trying to figure out how the company can grow and start speaking the same language, they're going to trust you a lot more. And now they're not going to treat you like a vendor or an executor or someone who's like a service provider, but they're going to start treating you as partners or experts. And that's also going to differentiate you from other designers, even AI for that matter. So, yeah, value provision is definitely something that was like, if we look back at it, about how we made the first big jump, the intention to add more meaning was the turning point for us.
And by strategy, we don't mean just a 2 hour long session or like a 10 pointer questionnaire that you ask them to fill just to understand a little bit about what they're thinking and hoping for. It is much longer and a deeper process than that. You immerse yourself as if you are also the part owner of the brand, and you need to make them understand and ask themselves questions about what is their motivation apart from profits, and is there a bigger purpose there, and why are we starting this. All of these questions, sometimes they might seem very surface level ki acha theek hai, this is a purpose, vision, mission, sort of a two liner answers to all of it. But why exactly that? It's almost like a brand therapy session. A lot of people have told us that they feel like this is a whole therapy workshop for them. So it's quite interesting how people get clarity with strategy, and they find themselves in a very confident space after the whole strategy session, which is quite, I think, interesting. Then moving on to the next big shift. So by this time we started understanding what brands, clients, business people are looking for when they are building something. We had a decent portfolio, I mean, and by this time we also started understanding how important the process and clarity in your communication with the client, all of these things are important.
Right, because here what we realize is that you have like a window, 30 minute window, where the client is going to come to you for a discovery call, and they must have done it with 10 other agencies. And at what is the thing that they are looking for them to get that trust in you, and for them to choose you over the others, or at least have more trust in you as a brand, if not choose you necessarily. And I think there are 4 to 5 things that we could narrow down to. First thing was, if you show them a very defined process, put it on your website, put it on your brochure or your catalog, whatever you're sharing with them, so that tell them that, see, this is what we do from start to finish. This is a step by step guide as to how your future is going to look like if we onboard you or if you choose us, so that they know that, okay, these guys are not just doing it out of their own whims and fancies. They have a process that they're going to follow. And maybe if you have something very different in your process, they might find it interesting, and that could be a reason why they choose you over the others. The second thing is to have really responsible communication, because what they're looking for is someone whom they can trust. Absolutely. If you are honest with them, if you are telling them genuinely that, see, this is my strength, this is the thing that I know you're looking for, but I might not be the best person in it, but this is how I'm going to develop it, or I am going to figure this situation out so that your business is not affected. That people are going to trust much more than you not talking about it at all. So being responsible in the communication that you're making during that time, plus also being very transparent with all of the terms of your service, from your scope of work, from what is going to be excluded from the scope of work, your pricing, what the installments are going to be like, how you're going to be raising the invoices, your timelines, your breakdown of your timelines, or even like the difficult things like cancellation policy or consequences if there are delays in, say, payments, or say what formats you're going to be giving them, confidentiality, or revisions that you'll be making, or publishing, every single thing that you can think of, try to communicate that with them, so that I know it's going to open room for negotiation and it's going to invite a lot of conversations that obviously is going to be easier to not have them. But it's good to have it, because at some point it is absolutely going to come back at you. And if you've not already spoken about it, you're not going to be on the upper hand over there. So it's best to already talk about all of this and do it very responsibly, not to look like you're being too, I wouldn't say rude, but too uptight on how you're going to be working, but just very respectfully putting it out that these are the ways we work. What do you think about it? If you think that there's scope for negotiation, do that negotiation, but come to an understanding effectively. The third thing is clear documentation. Whatever I spoke about, to put it in a document, put it in the proposal that you're going to give out, or in the engagement letter, or having clear invoices. Also, this gives them a lot of confidence, tells them that you are someone who knows what you are doing, and that there are things that are put on pen and paper and they've signed it. So if something goes wrong, there is a place that, like, there is something that they can come back to. So that is also going to give them a lot of trust if you have very detailed documents in place. And fortunately for us, because I was coming from a background where I was only working on documents, we had this since day one. And that also did, we knew it because people told us that, oh my God, you have really detailed documents. This gives me a lot of clarity, confidence. So we know that this did have an impact in people. If possible, get your lawyer friend to draft your engagement letters and proposals. It's going to help you. Next thing is um, value addition, which is also something that is going to help people gain more trust in you. Again, speak about how you're going to help their company. They don't care about what you have done for other clients and what all services you have given, how many kind of projects you have worked on. What they essentially care about is that how you're going to help their company. So if you're going to be able to tell the value part of the thing, they are going to be trusting you more than someone who talks about services. And the last thing, which is also one of the most important things, is presentations. And we've learned this over time. We do not know that presentations are going to be this impactful. We used to think that, okay, the work is going to speak for itself. We're going to put all our efforts in creating great work. And even if the presentation is average, it's going to be fine because work is good. That's not how it works. When you are showing your work to your clients, there will be a point during a discovery call where they'll tell you probably to show them some of the work that you've done in the past. They have seen your work, that's why they have come to you. But what they want to see over there is why you chose to do what you chose to do, and really walking them through the process of how you came up with these designs, what were you thinking, what research you did to understand this is going to work for the brand and not, so that they can think about how your brain works and how you can stretch your imagination, so that they know that, okay, if they can think this creatively for another brand, they could do that for us as well. So yeah, these are a few things that can get you to trust the client during discovery calls.
Right. And by this time, what we were effectively doing was basically freelancing. And now we wanted to shift from a business to a brand for ourselves. And after studying branding for so long, we started understanding that there were some things that we wanted to do for ourselves as well. So we did our own strategy and decided on rebranding ourselves for bigger, better projects.
Hmm. Yeah, during this time, what we did was that we asked a friend of ours to help us with our business strategy. Brand strategy, we knew by now, although it's very difficult to do your own brand strategy. So we asked him, he also does our brand strategy anyway. So we asked him to help us with our brand strategy plus the business strategy. And business strategy, this is not something that a lot of people talk about, but it is equally important to work on the business aspect of the studio. So if you have someone around you who can help you with your business strategy, sit with them, spend every month, every quarter, or as frequently as you can to understand how you can improve your systems, how can you improve your processes, and make them your accountability partner to track that progress. Because we are not generally taught, especially people who do come from design schools, or even for me, both me and Sonam had no background about running a business.
Yeah.
So we were not very prepared for all of the operations and administrative decisions that we had to take, hiring, onboarding, and all of that. And that time, having someone tell you some things ahead of what you can think of is definitely something that helped us. So for us, we sat down with him, set our financial goals, learning goals, improved our processes, improved our documentation, understood what are the things that we want to focus on this year so that
Yeah.
we could make certain shifts in order for us to upgrade ourselves. And there were two things that we decided we were going to focus on. First was upgrading our own skills, and second was upgrading or at least creating, defining our company culture that we wanted to have. And this is something that I think is going to be, you everyone who is a designer or is running a design studio would want to do this at some point, where you mindfully create plans on what is it that is going to be your focus area this year or this quarter, and get into it full on and then move on to the next.
And to improve our skills, what we were actually doing was basically going back to the basics, and we had started a ritual of learning something new every single day and sharing it with each other, which helped us a lot in a lot of ways. And another thing we were doing was, it's funny actually, we were also just taking videos of ourselves every day. When we were very camera shy, and as you see on Instagram now that we are more or less making it with the videos. But yeah, we practiced a lot every single day. Vineet would force us to just take any video, random video. We could say anything there. So we have a lot of very bad, embarrassing videos.
Didn't want to see those, definitely can't go back to them. But we did it and it helped us in future. Other than that, company culture was something that we were working on. This was the first year that we had actually started hiring. Before this, we were just majorly, it was the two of us, and we were doing freelance works. But now we wanted to be more mindful of what kind of culture we wanted to create in the organization, what kind of people we want to become a part of our team, what will they expect out of us, what can we offer to them, how we can help them grow. And one of the things that we were very clear on since day one was that for us, personal values way more than technical skills. And we say that in the sense that, of course, technical skills are important. The work has to be at least above average. But if we met someone who was really good in terms of, say, personal values, in terms of integrity, transparency, honesty, or someone who was very hardworking and very committed, that was the decision making point for us, that whether we would be having them in the team or not. Because it's easy to teach design, it's easy to teach art, but it's very difficult to teach these values. And we've been really fortunate to have people, to have found those people and work with them. Since the time we onboarded the people that we did, we've been fortunate that they are with us even today. And that we continue to keep as a filter for us while hiring even today. And we're going to do that in future as well, for sure. Now, the only thing, we had sort of done a lot of internal thing this year and tried to prepare ourselves for the shift that we wanted eventually, where we wanted bigger, better projects. The only thing that we needed now was a new face.
In 2023, then we had our name changed, our face also changed, and our numbers did too. We started realizing that we want to now move forward and move on from referrals to getting clients outside of it, basically beyond referrals. And so we thought that we should be leveraging Instagram at that point, and we started working on a lot of value-based content, something that people would want to see, understand, learn more than what we wanted to show them. So we were doing that. We did it for, I think, about 2 months or so, consistently posting, probably 19 or 20 crisp value based reels, and we also reached I think from 800 to 25K in those 2 months span. And yeah, it really helped us a lot, and the response was overwhelming.
It was the shift from 800 to 25,000 was not something that we were expecting or we even imagined. And we were really happy. It looks like it was an overnight success because of the short span, but there was a lot that went behind it. All of the work that we did around making videos, getting comfortable with it, planning, strategizing Instagram, what kind of content we want to make, the understanding pillars, trying, experimenting with it. Since all of this was happening, we really put out everything that we had from us into that. Our, in fact, health had started going for a toss. Our sleep cycle, our meal timing, work life balance, everything started getting messed up. While we were really grateful also for what was happening because we got really a lot of projects. We met great people and it also improved our position in the market. But we were not prepared for this. So when we were juggling between work and inquiries and clients and team management, operations, administration, social media, all of we lost it. So we decided that we're going to now focus on our daily rituals, our smaller habits more than any other time. This is the time that we focus on that, come back to it. Again, Vineet was our accountability partner. He would keep a check on us and even our team members. Every week, we would get on a call and he would ask us personally that make sure that we're not burning ourselves up and we're keeping ourselves safe. So that was really something that helped us during a very stressful time. Cut to today, we have been really fortunate to work with global corporate houses, some international clients, and some really passionate people. But there's so much more to learn, and there's so much to grow. This is just a WIP version of us. Yeah.
Over to you guys.
That was really thorough and amazing. It kind of like pretty much gave like a super nice blueprint. Um, right now we're gonna open up this talk for the audience. We have around 25 minutes. I'm gonna let like Suramya take over and lead the Q&A.
Yes. Okay, so I have so many questions. There's so many questions that I've like already poured into the chat. Audience, I would ask you to continue pouring in questions because we're gonna talk about them. But because I'm a co-host, I get to pick the first question. And I would like to ask you guys, for starters, as young women designers in the industry, how is it talking to clients? Have you ever had to deal with like, oh, I have to over explain myself. I'm so sorry, I'm taking too much space. And like always having to like do extra work to make sure that you're taken a little more seriously.
That's not something that favors us, to be honest. So it does happen, definitely. A lot of times we could see that we had to really push ourselves and get them to understand that we're not just about aesthetics, we're not just about designs and design in the sense beauty. I think what happens is that when we start telling them and talking to them in their language, and we start telling them that we do understand businesses and we do think through things and we're not just doing things surface level, instantly that changes, that opinion changes. And then from there on, it's a lot easier because fortunately for us, it happens in the very beginning when we just do our discovery call, we sort of start talking to people. So yeah, we get that trust early on, but a lot of times it so happens that, since we also have Vineet in our team and he does strategy with us, people tend to ask him the question that I can also answer. So that happens sometimes. But I think we notice that, and once I start picking those questions up and start answering it, they get that confidence over time. For people out there, and especially younger women entrepreneurs, designers, I think yes, we do need to put extra effort into really being thorough with what we're doing. But if we are, then nothing is going to stop us. Then our knowledge is going to speak for itself, and then it shouldn't be a problem. Although that has to be done, it's a non-negotiable for us.
That's true. No, I love that, and I also think that like watching someone's like ego break down in front of you when you start spitting facts is like such a beautiful thing to watch, especially like in a client meeting. You know, when you suddenly like see the change in their expression, you know that they suddenly like trust you more and like they actually respect your opinion and they ask you questions. I love that. Okay, now I'm gonna roll over to the chat. So the number one question is, when you belong to a different field, how do you start? Like, did it take online classes, something else? I know you guys talked about habit, like learning new skills and habit training. This question's from Madrishi.
Actually, the answer is going to differ depending on what field you are going to get into. For us, somehow in India, we don't have really structured branding schools over here, and we do not have the liberty to spend years now going to another country, and also because of COVID, to learn the business or the design part of it in terms of branding. So what we did is, there's so much content on YouTube. Leverage that. Almost everything that one is taught in a design school is out there. In fact, a lot more than that. So decide that 1 month I'm just going to treat this as like my course that I'm taking, and try to gather as much content that is available on the internet. Try to read books, watch them, and be thorough with it. Make notes, because we did that. We really have notes from our first year where we finished books on understanding how different kind of people have done different things, and how try to map what is best for us, what is realistic for us, and try to create a process for ourselves. So do that. Plus, when you do it yourself, I think it's much better. I really think that it's you are more thorough with the thing if you are reading it yourself, watching things yourself. Other than that, of course, books. Some of the books gave us a lot of confidence that okay, this is the ultimate thing that we can reach. We've still not reached that space, but what the world is like, what is going on in the world and what people are doing is something that is mind blowing, and we came to know about it only through books, at least for us. So yeah, that's where
Oh,
you
Yeah,
they're
I
asking for
think
book recommendations if you have any
The
also.
first book that I read on branding was Identity Design by David Airy. It's a very thorough book. What he does is he covers around 15-20 projects that he did from start to end, and tells everything about his process from start to finish. And that sort of is like a Bible for branding. Even there is this book called Designing Brand Identities by Alina Wheeler, which is, and she co-authors with a few people. She has a few versions of it. That's also like a book that people should probably put in colleges. Also very thought through and very detailed. Yeah, those would be things I remember.
Right. So, do you want to add to that, or should we?
no, I just wanted to say that I think why people look for colleges is also because they want some sort of structure or diligence. Because they don't, I think you need to have, if you want to do it yourself, you need to have that diligence that I have to do these things. I need to find the right method, if you research good enough for good amount of time, you will be able to learn it. I think why people want to really get into a college is just to get the structure and sort of have the routine.
No, that's so true. I think discipline is so important. Like it's like having a personal trainer, versus waking up every morning and putting yourself to work out. Okay. Did you guys have discussion about gaining experience before you guys started yours?
Yeah, I sort of answered that we knew we do not have a background. So we
Yeah.
started doing the research. We made a deck, and we decided that on our first project, we're not going to charge for the strategy that we do. We're just going to take our chance and tell them that it's just a logo thing that we're delivering. But we tested our strategy over there and realized that it is working. She gave us a feedback that she got a lot of confidence. She had never even thought about the things that we asked her, and now she knows where the brand is headed. that kind of gave us our confidence that what we are doing is in the right direction. So we built upon it even more.
Right.
Yeah.
This one's a good question. How do you guys pitch yourself to a tier 2 audience who understand the value of a brand, but it's hard to convince them?
I think when we are working with clients, I think by tier 2, you mean someone who does not have all of the money and resources to spend very easily, but understands that it is important. For them, I think firstly, we have to tell them that, sir or ma'am, this is what you are investing in. This is not an expense. This is going to bring you results at some point, maybe 2 months down the line, or 6 months down the line, or 1 year down the line. So first is making that mindset shift. Also telling them the whole process, telling them what is going on in the industry, what could go wrong, how it is eventually good for your business. And then eventually, also one important thing is to have empathy, that understanding that if you were in that position, you would also feel the same way. So being honest with them that I understand that this is a big investment and you would want to sort of think about it before you make this call. We do this a lot where we have a community internally also, where we forward the projects that we are not able to take to people who can onboard it. So we have a few designers or photographers and all of that. We keep forwarding these projects to those people so that they get one answer, they get someone whom they can work with, if not us, but also being very humble and empathetic with them, not being snobby about it that, oh, you can't afford us. Not do that. I think that's important because if that happens, they think about money management and they do come back to you eventually. They might even go, it has so happened that they might go talk to other people and then come back to us because they realize that there's something different happening over here. So yeah, I don't think you can really push them into really convincing them. You can just tell them that this is what it is.
I don't know if you guys, like the audience, have been through like Outline Studios website, but they actually list their pricing very clearly on their website and they're very transparent about their pricing and costs. Do you think that has helped your situation and like gain trust with clientele, or like is it now harder to explain why you're worth it in a way, you know?
That's a good question, and the answer is not very simple to this one. Because the reason we had started putting our numbers on the website was because when Instagram was growing and we were getting a lot of inquiries, we realized that a vast majority of the audience that's coming to us is not comfortable with the prices that we have. So just to save up on that time, and not thinking about having to lose that opportunity of quoting a really big number when a big client comes, we wanted to, it was like a calculated call that we took, that no, we don't want to right now think about doing some really huge projects. We want to think about upgrading from where we are right now, taking a step up. And that's the pricing that we put on the website. What that did was that it filtered out a lot of people who were coming to us. Also, I felt that there were times that people were interested in knowing what we're doing and how we're doing and all of that, but they would feel that we're too expensive, way too expensive. And when they would come to know about the numbers, because we're working in luxury industry, our work is to show things in a way more premium manner than it is probably a lot of times. So that was sort of reflecting in our this thing also. When they went and saw the numbers, it was much easier for them to digest it, and it was much easier for them to make up their mind that, okay, this looks doable. I might be able to start working with them in, say, 1 month or 2 months when I've saved up so much and all of that. But that said, that was something that we did 2 years back. We continue to do that. But this year was something where we've done majority of our projects that we've worked on this year has been international projects. The prices for Indian projects and international projects are supposed to be a little different, but that's not something that's reflecting on our website. Again, this year we were not looking at making a lot of money from international clients, but more to do with building a portfolio with majority of international projects. So maybe this year we might take it down. We don't know, but as of now, this is how it's working for us.
Yeah.
People love your daily ritual chart. and they were wondering if you could take us through how they grounded you guys, and what are some things that really helped you expand your skill set, like specific things that you guys did that you would recommend for like young designers to really like get into the nitty gritties and like expand their viewpoint, and like the ritual of learning something new and sharing with each other. I think that's also like really important. Like as a team, you guys work so well because like if I learn something, we learn something, and I think that's like so cute. So like yeah, tell us about that. Walk us through it.
About our rituals and about what we do, majorly, what was happening was it started long back when we were thinking about company culture and how we are growing and all of that. And we were really lazy people. We wouldn't do the things that we were supposed to do. We wouldn't learn one thing every day. So we started keeping a track of it. That's where it started from, where we would put everything, that one thing that we have to learn, say we have to do morning pages, we had to put something on Instagram, do something on LinkedIn, on XYZ. It was getting really difficult to follow. So then we revised it. Now what we do is that we have sort of divided few parts of our life. One is say health, another is our own personal growth, another is work wise how we're doing. So I'll try to share my screen and show you what we're doing right now. This is a screenshot of how our tracking thing looks like. We do it on a bi-monthly basis, every 15 days basically, where we track where we track all three of us. We do this internally, and this also happens separately with our team members, where we set different goals for ourselves, and this also keeps changing over time. That health wise, if we are exercising well, if we're sleeping on time, if we are eating well or not, and we would rank ourselves every 15 days and see whether we're doing good in that segment or not. We also color coded it, of course. Then in terms of learning progress, whether we're learning something every month, every week, and every 2 weeks, how we're doing that, what we're learning really, all of that. And then morning routine, we do. Everyone has a different morning routine, but understanding what it is and then making sure that we're following it. So keeping a track of that. Other than that, closing ritual is for us. It's of course your skincare, but also filling up our timesheets. We do fill timesheets every, where we put in, and this is a practice that I picked from my corporate law firm experience, where we would put in everything that we have done in the day, put hours in front of it, that how much time we spent on each of the things, and keep track of it. Every week we would go back and see it and tell each other that whether this was a productive week or not. That also lets us understand what everyone is doing, how everyone is doing, and tells us also, like for self judgment also, as to how that is going. So filling our timesheet is a part of our closing ritual. Also, we do discuss about how our team members are doing every 2 weeks. We've removed that for confidentiality reasons. We have not taken permission to put that. So that's about it for what we do in terms of the rituals. Recently, something that we did was design week that we did, where, or a creative week, we would call it, where we just did not open our laptop for a week uh, for working on client projects. And we created things that we just like creating, that was nothing to do with strategy and things that are for others but for ourselves. And that was a fun experience. We really understood so much about ourselves and how we have so many fears inside of us and how we overcome that, how we used to love doing so many things with hands and we stopped doing it because we're constantly on our laptop. That was a really good experience for us and for our team members. Other than that, also, if we feel that if someone in the team is it looks like they're needing a break, we do tend to tell them that you can go on a break for a week or a month or however long that they need. And or if they want to adjust their timings to do other things, like if they want to go for a dance class or a badminton
The
class.
emotionally healthy kaise ho aap log? What is this insane, like amazing environment to work in? This is so nice that you guys are building this. It's so inspirational. continuing from that, there is like a follow-up question about like how you deal with confidence and like, imposter syndrome and stuff, especially when you're unable to like lock in a client. So this is from Parth and Dave. They were asking like, how do you stay afloat during these periods when you're unable to lock a client, and like how do you deal with situations where you like lost them midway, or it didn't work out? And
That's a good question. We have been rejected a lot of times, and it has hurt us. We sometimes it has so happened that we really want to work with a client, potential client, and they've just ghosted us. It does put us in a position where we start questioning that, are we not good enough? Why did they not respond? And what is it that we're doing wrong? And really start getting inside our head, which is obviously not a good space to be in. What we do, at least I would tell about myself, that one thing I've realized about my process is that I genuinely believe this, that if I'm getting overwhelmed with something, and if I'm, say, on a project and I'm just about to start it and it's too big for me, say, for example, or it's not in the most comfortable space for me, or if we are in the middle of something, this happens every single time that we're on a branding project, we're designing an identity, and it is just not going anywhere. We're not able to find the answer. We have our, say, presentation in 3 days, and we just don't know what we're doing. At that point, it's really scary, and you think about all of the worst things that you can think about for yourself. What is my thing that I have cracked is that I only have to do one thing to be able to come out of it, and that's spending time with it. I've literally written this down. It's on my laptop. It says there's a sticker that says make time. Because what I've realized is that if I am facing a problem with something, with a design specifically, I just need to spend time with it, if not an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 days, but I am going to get an answer. I just need to give it my time, and that's going to reward me. And why this works logically is also because the more time we spend doing something, we're going to keep experimenting with it, keep finding new directions, better inspirations, and it'll be moving somewhere. We'll not be stuck. That sounds obvious because if you want to not be stuck, you have to bring movement, and in order to do that, you have to get out of your head and start doing something. It's a blessing that the two of us, and we when we see that one person is not able to, say, bring something out, the other person just needs to give them a little bit of a nudge to break the pattern that we are thinking in. And that helps a lot. And we sort of know that there is someone who will be there to handle something if I am not able to do it. And that confidence is something that I feel I would not be able to work by myself at all, because I've not done it. I've since the beginning I have worked with Sonam. And I think this is something that I feel is the biggest blessing for us, that if we're getting stuck, we are there for each other. Plus, I think in general also, this is a difficult field that we're in, because living a creative life isn't always fun, and it is really exhausting, and it is about making that difficult choice to follow your curiosity over all of the fears that you have, not once or twice, but every single day, time and over again. So this is uh, something that is a genuine problem. We come to glamorize passion, romanticize it, but it comes with a lot of suffering also. And by suffering, I mean it's also, we love that suffering, because what we get out of after that is something that we live for. But to push yourself to extremes and do things that no one else even cares about a lot of times, and to suffer your way through it anyway, there is a point that comes where you crack it, and that just makes all of the suffering worth it. And what a privilege it is to be, really exhausted by the challenges you choose for yourself.
I genuinely believe that creativity is a disease that we all suffer with, and that there is no cure, because we keep like subjecting ourselves to it continuously, because that's the only way we know how to live. But I agree 100%. Which brings me to, do you guys ever fight? Like, do you guys have you ever been through a rough patch regarding something that you didn't agree with?
Most of the fights between any two people is only because of um, miscommunication, because they don't understand your language or you are not understanding their language. It's not that who is right, who is wrong. It's never that. And since the time we've understood that, we've tried to always, between mini fights, we would try to just put ourselves in the other person's shoes and try to see it with their brain, what is happening. Because we don't mean harm, we don't mean anything. I think nobody does when they want to fight. It's just that they are trying to explain something and it's not going anywhere, and they feel like they're not being understood, etc. So I think you need to do the same thing for the other person, because they're also in the similar position where they feel they're not understood at all. So yeah, I think it's more about communicating and understanding how to communicate clearly, with each other.
To add to that, I think for us, we were fortunate that we knew each other as people since a very long time. So we did not have these fundamental questions for each other. All of the questions that we had was more to do with, do we want to deal with this like this, or do we want to take this route,
Yeah.
or is this direction better or that direction better? It was not so much to do with questioning each other as people,
Yeah.
because we had that trust. We really knew each other for, like, we've known each other for 17, 18 years, and we were friends with each other. You make friends with people whom you trust and whom you love.
Yeah.
So for us, even if, like, sometimes when we don't agree with certain things, the fights that we have is not something uh, that's going to that's going to move us from inside. There are fights that you sort of then distance yourself from people and all of that. That does not happen between us, but we're very different as people. My brain and her brain, it's poles apart in terms of how we decide on things. And I think that's also the reason that we stick with each other, because I can't think the way Sonam thinks, and she fills me in so many ways. She's someone who really pushes me to think more spontaneously and more fearlessly. And I try to bring more structure in her life if she's doing something so fearlessly that it's
100%. And it's so important. You have no idea.
I'm gonna ask, what is like the number one thing you should look out for sure if you're going into business with a friend?
Good question. I think integrity would be the answer, because when times are tough, we act out of the worst side of us. And at that point, if we are people who are virtuous and who have high values as people, and we're someone who takes responsibility for the things that we have committed for, it does play a huge role as to what happens after that, in that difficult time. So even if you are great friends with them and you really vibe together and you go out partying, if you think that inside of that person there isn't a lot of integrity, you would want to rethink it.
Okay, I am gonna hand it over to Gokul. I love you guys and I love talking to you guys, and I wish you guys so many wins. And thanks for making my birthday so wholesome. But I will let Gokul take it away.
So first of all, the entire time you guys were talking, it felt like every creative person's mind voice was talking, like their positive mind voice was talking. Half of them, some of them even dropped that this is like a therapy session for them. So, and I'll probably want to give like, oh, the every time they do like a best place to work, like the times 100 or whatever, if there's an award, I want to give it to you guys as well. Yeah, and just sort of like listening to your journey, it felt like there are like so many exceptions. It's almost like Outline Studio is like the exception, not the rule. Like things have worked out. Like so many non-conventional things have worked out, and they've worked out so beautifully. And I hope like it keeps working out, and you guys put out great stuff. And I wish I was a graphic designer, but if you're looking for industrial designers, um, but yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone who made time to join us. Plugging in YDI again, please check out our website. We have like 3D great resources there. And we also have Outline Studios doing a giveaway for a guide. Please be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was a great talk. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And
Yeah, this was
we'll keep in
fun.
touch. Right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.